It's the middle of the morning. I'm in class in high school, and my head is on the table. I'm sleeping on the desk. Well, at least people think I'm sleeping, but in reality, I'm just covering my head and experiencing deep anxiety. Like, the anxiety that a pit forms in your stomach and you get adrenaline, and it feels like a void just opened up, and all your fears are just spreading out to your immune system. Well, that's what was happening. And it was happening because I had this constant thought of, what do others think of me? What do others think of how I look? What do others think of what I say? What do others think of how I sound? And I lived in this fear for a good 2 years in high school. I'm talking, I would get serious anxiety to the point I would get cold sweats when I was asked to read in front of the class. I would get serious cold sweats when someone would make a smart remark or make fun of me. And I could never stick up for myself. So I started faking. I started faking who I was. I became this agreeable, passive shell of a young man. And that for a while was Jorge. And looking back on it, it was all a protective mechanism. You know, like, for example, how some animals play dead so you don't actually kill them. Well, that was me in class. I would basically play dead or play the agreeable, funny, passive guy in order to not be made fun of more, because I was scared to death of what others thought of me. I was recently reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and he said something like this. He said, I've met many men who are unhappy because they're constantly wondering what others might think of them. But I have never met a man who is less happy because he doesn't care what others think of him. What he's trying to say basically is that if you want to be guaranteed unhappiness or guaranteed anxiety, then constantly think about what others might think of you. Constantly think about what Sally might say about how you look, what John might say about how strong you are. But if you want a guarantee to freedom, at least mentally, then stop caring or wondering what other people are thinking of you, because you have no control over it whatsoever. And so it was a process that I had to take my balls back. I had to take my balls back. I was castrated. I was castrated because I knew who I was and what I wanted to say, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be. But then there was the other side of me, which was a scared little boy who would say, do, and act like how he thought everybody else wanted him to, in order to not be casted out, or in order not to be made fun of, or I guess demonized. And sure, I mean, it works because people make fun of you less, and maybe you make more friends because you're more agreeable. But inside, you're not living, you're existing. And if you're doing what I'm saying, if you're faking who you are, then you know what I'm talking about. You don't feel like you're living. You never feel authentic. You can never feel the authentic love of life. You can only feel the shell of existence. And it's a sad, sad reality. And so I'm going to tell you in this video how to get out of it. Step one is understanding that no matter what you say or do or how you act, you will never be able to influence people's thoughts of you. Sure, on the surface level you might be able to, but at the end of the day, people are going to think of you what they want to think of you. You're not a mind controller. You cannot control or alter somebody's thoughts unless you completely manipulate them, which is a waste of time. You can't alter somebody's thoughts to think good thoughts of you, okay? Also, you have to realize that you don't know what other people are thinking. Even when they say something, they might be lying. So it's asinine to try and figure out what another person might be thinking of you. More often than not, you're making a story about what they're saying of you when they're thinking about their own things, because everybody has their own lives. And you're just casting these, I guess, negative thoughts of what they might think of you onto yourself. You're making up a whole story, so let go of it. Step number 2 is becoming more authentic. I want you to spend 10 minutes alone every day. No distractions, no food, no water even, no picking up a book or a magazine, no scrolling or texting your friend or your girlfriend. 10 minutes sitting at a wall alone. Now at first you're going to get bored. And then after you're bored, you might experience a little bit of fear. And then after fear, you might even start experiencing some anxiety or panic. But if you go through all that, if you penetrate it, then you'll realize or slowly start uncovering who you truly are. You'll start realizing that you have certain thoughts and opinions and values and beliefs, and those are you. And I say this, don't take it lightly, those are you. That is an identity, that is a person, and that is you. That is something that you have to embody. And as you get clearer and clearer and start doing actions that align towards that person, that vision you saw, it will only get more real who you are. Step number 3 would be to continue to follow that path. Every chance you get, continue to follow that path. When you're in class and you know that you want to say something, but you don't say it out of fear of what people might think of you, say it because it is truly authentic to you. When you're in a debate with your friend and you don't want to offend them with one of your beliefs, offend them. And you can tell them, hey, listen, I don't mean to offend you, but do not hide yourself or do not control yourself from who you truly are. Grab your balls. Do not let somebody castrate you. And this is called living life to your truest edge. So I'll explain the concept a little bit. We all have our fears, we all have our limits, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What is something very wrong is trying to, live below those fears. Basically letting fears stop you from living. Because again, like that, you get castrated. What's also bad is diving headfirst into your fears and just being involved with anxiety, just being covered in anxiety. You went too far. The perfect middle point is living just beyond your edge. You need to understand exactly what causes you fear, exactly what causes you anxiety, and inch just over it. Think of your anxiety, of your fears as a void. You're on a cliff, and below you there's a void, there's a precipice. You don't want to go behind it because it's not exciting, it's not fun, and you won't grow, but you don't want to throw yourself into it because you'll end up dying. You want to look just over it and stay there. Stay with the fear, stay with anxiety, stay with the rejection. And slowly but surely, this cliff will start inching more and more and more into the void until you're able to cross it and go onto a new void. Living on the edge of your fear is where all masculine growth lies. There has never been one man who has grown without experiencing some sort of fear, experiencing uncomfort, and there has never been a man who has grown experiencing complacency. So you can use your friends for this if they're honest. Tell them to let you know where they observe you not living to your truest edge. Tell them, essentially, to let you know when you're pussying out. And follow their instructions. And when you're pussying out, you have to do actions to become that man who lives on the edge of his fears. So for example, if you're scared of public speaking, I want you to 3 times a week find an opportunity to speak in front of other people. I don't care if you have to go up and talk to somebody. I don't care if you have to read in front of the class, like I was scared to do. I don't care if you have to fill out a venue and do a public speech. You have to find a way 3 times a week to do that and live just beyond your edge. And if you don't, there will be consequences. Give your friend $50 every time that you lose. Mow his lawn. Do his dishes. This will keep you accountable, and this will keep you holding to your truest fears and living beyond, just beyond your edge. This is basically the short guide to becoming more authentic, letting go of what people think of you, and essentially becoming who you are.